continuing on with these the series of videos that we're doing and trying to help all of our agents, excel, during these turbulent times. The reality is we may end up working a little bit more at home than we probably originally planned.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about myself, and I'm working at home, and I'm thinking, gosh, I'm one of those dads that, like, the boys walk through the house. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Include me. Can I play? That's who I am. It's like, they're not the distraction. I am my own distraction, right?
Yeah.
But I started thinking about it. It's like, man, real estate agents are going to have to be responsible, business mature, have enough business maturity to be able to keep the lights on, keep working, but doing it in a location that there may be some distractions. So I wanted to talk about getting family buy-in in terms of working from home, because I think if we set this up appropriately, a few things are going to occur. Number one, if we get buy-in from our family, that means our spouse, significant others, our children, or whoever may be living in the household. If we can get buy-in, then they become our support system. They
Mm-hmm.
become our accountability, and then we can get things done,
Mm-hmm.
and we can be efficient at that. So do you have any thoughts? I have a few thoughts, but do you have any thoughts right off the bat when it comes to getting buy-in?
Yeah, I think if this is new, so I work from home every Saturday and Sunday morning, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time that everybody's up and around, then I've finished up a good few hours of doing my stuff. So for somebody to see me at home in the afternoon working, that's strange. So that will be strange in my household. And It's always stuff. It's like kind of here and there. I could completely go do something else. So that would be an odd thing. If that's where you're at and you're normally not home working, then in order to be productive, then I think it's important for a couple of reasons to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. And have the conversation so that you can actually get some things done. But more importantly, I think even if you aren't the only person, the sole provider in the family, I think it's important that you provide some certainty to your family. Yes. And this came out of a conversation that through a few of us had on text that you initiated, Greg, on some things that are important to talk about. And I think this is one of them, because mm-hmm. there are going to be, the kids are kids. I mean, they're communicating with everybody. They could be 1,000 miles away. They're communicating with everybody right now. Nothing's changed because it's all on their device. So they're hearing about mom and dad from a friend of theirs is completely stressed out. Somebody lost their job. Somebody's sick. Grandma they're worried about. She's living with them now. There's a lot of stuff going on that our kids are being exposed to that we have to have some consistency for them. This is not just about your business. You have to have some consistency, give them some clarity. And part of it is saying, listen, guys, I got to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just doing it in a different location. Bring them in, get them involved. And the other thing is, from the last video, you're going to set up, if you do it right, some really good internal accountability with your family.
Yes. Yeah. So, I had to issue, as an owner, I felt compelled to issue a statement from the company, that, the staff, if they want to feel comfortable working more at home, then they're welcome to do that. Set some rules and some guidelines on, if you're sick or have been sick or have friends that have been sick that you've been around, please don't come in, all that. So I created, what I had to send out. I created a long letter and emailed it and made sure everybody got it. What most people don't know at the company, that before I sent that letter, I have one son. I have two sons, but one of my sons' name is Lucas. He's 15 years old. I said, Lucas, can you please come here? And I asked him to read the email before I sent it. And I said, hey, can you read this email? He read the email. I asked him, do you think I left anything out? What do you think about that? Now, his only response, he's 15. His response was, I fixed your typos. Okay. Well, and most people that have ever received an email, there's a lot of typos. But the point is that was my way of bringing in and involving my family into something that's really important. Like there's a lot of important things going on right now, right? And I might, I might come home and be a little bit more stressed. I might not be. I'm not sure what I will be. I hopefully I won't. Or I might talk about things that could scare them and whatnot, with no intention of talking or saying things that would scare them. But the more I involve them in the situation, the things that I'm dealing with, the more certainty that they have. Like my children actually says, hey, that's a great email. I think it's important that you do that. Like just that makes them feel more certain. Whether or not they would articulate that or not is not important, but it brought certainty to them, right? And I talk about the stock market and here's the challenge with the stock market. Well, what does that have to do with the real estate market? And I talk about, there are people that could get laid off or their stocks could go down, and they find themselves in a situation where their pre-qualification letter is no longer pre-qualified and deals will fall through. And I'm connecting the dots, just having this conversation. There's an opportunity for us to educate our children right now. Like, let's not miss the learning opportunity that is in front of us for our children. For those of you that have children or you have nephews and nieces, there's a lesson that if we teach them this now, it'll carry on for years and years and years, and it could mold them. Now, in addition to that, when I'm talking about buy-in, really though, is that it's like when you're in there, and if you listen to a previous video and we talk about that 30-day business plan, and you have your routine and you have your activities and you have your accountability. There'll be good accountability if you get buy-in. You share with them what your routine is. Share with them what your schedule is. Share with them, hey, I've got to call 10 past clients today. And the reason I'm going to call past clients today is because they're dealing with some uncertainty in their lives. They're not really sure. And I just want to be that business professional that reaches out, extends a helping hand, and see if there's anything I can do for them. Like, what a great lesson. Yeah. But at the same token, here's what they're doing. They're hearing how important it is for me to do my job. Now, when my family or household is communicating that way, now all of a sudden, they're protecting me. It goes from distracting to protecting. And that's what family buy-in looks like. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And the other thing too, I think, is in those conversations, there's a lot of stuff that I think is going to look totally different at some point in the not so distant future. So one way that you can really, really, and this is even with spouses, a lot of conversations are like, wow, look at what's different today than it was yesterday. And now ask that follow-up question. So what do you think that's going to mean in the future? There's some smart kids and some smart people out there. There's going to be some incredible business ideas that are built out of this tough time. And you never know. That could be somebody that is in one of our families, somebody that we know. And it starts with a conversation about bringing them into what you're doing and exploring, learning something out of this versus just, again, being back in that corner going, man, I just wish this thing would be over. Lean into it.
Yeah. One of the things that I can share with you that's in my mind, I don't know if we've talked about it offline, Brendan, is I am working on a virtual listing presentation. Now, virtual listing presentation doesn't mean it's going to be one of these videos where it's draw art or whatever, and it's, here's Brendan, real estate professional in Myrtle Beach. No, I'm talking about like we're really eye to eye, like on a Zoom call or whatnot, and we're presenting, just as if we were presenting in their house. Like, I think that by the time we get out of this, people are going to be more comfortable with these web calls, with video conversations, with Facebook, what is it? FaceTime and things like that. I think we're just going to reach a higher level of acceptance for those things.
Yeah.
Now, I think what that's going to do is that's going to give us the opportunity to evolve, to progress, and be able to do it'll be more acceptable to say, hey, look, before I go out, why don't we go ahead and get on a web call, and I'll go ahead, I've got a full presentation that I can share with you, and then we just go in and do that full presentation. And we could possibly see that all we're doing we've got paperwork signed, and next thing you know, we're just going over to get to get photos and whatnot of their property, or to do a final walkthrough to make sure everything checks out. So I know that's not about family buy-in. We're kind of getting off the subject, but I believe what you said. I believe things are going to change, and I don't know how drastic. I just know that they're never going to go back to the way it was.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, cool.
So
Go ahead.
I want to. Maybe it's good to, because sometimes these things where we say this is something to look at doing. Maybe it's good to, on this one just popped into my head. Let's explore what happens without family buy-in.
Mm. Yes.
So I'm putting you on the spot, but why did we even bring up the need for family buy-in in this, besides the fact that you're going to find out that you need to talk about it and you need to figure out, but why? What happens when we don't have it?
So I can tell you the first thing that's coming to my mind as you pose that to me is, and this will be personal, so maybe people will find themselves in my story, or maybe they'll identify their own. If I don't get family buy-in, I'm probably going to flake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not wake up at the time. My routine's gonna be different, and because I know nobody's watching, I'm not gonna think about being an example of a true professional. I'm gonna think that it doesn't really matter, and I'm just not gonna perform at the level the consumer needs me to perform at, or my agents need me to perform at. That's it for me. How would you answer it?
So mine would be, if I don't have the family buy-in, then I will have guilt, because I feel like in those times, because I don't work from home. So now when I am home, I'm used to doing those things with the family and they're the focus. If I don't have the buy-in, then I'm going to have guilt, and guilt is not productive. That's exactly where I would be.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think a lot of people will find themselves in one of our situations, or a variation of one of those, for sure. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, that's family buy-in. So we're just going to continue, producing more and more of these based on the subjects that we have. And we know, the good thing about you and I is we know how to develop talent. We know how to coach agents to the top. And right now, as leaders, we want to be very offensive, take the offense, and making sure that we attack this market, that we, are thinking about our agents, making sure that not only are they surviving, but they're thriving, and they, come out of this better than they went into this. So that's the whole mission. I hope those of you that are watching these, I hope we're making a difference, for you in your real estate business. So thank you so much.